What's good, YouTube? Akil here, back with another video, and today I'm going to share some stuff that's sold on eBay, and I even got a Poshmark sale as well. Only difference with this what sold video is that I'm selling a bunch of random stuff. In this particular video, I didn't want to just share a lot of the shoes, because trust me, a lot of shoes have definitely still been selling, but I wanted to throw in just some random stuff that I've sold recently, only to let you guys know that my store is still pretty diverse. I would still say it's about 90% shoes. I still have a little bit of clothing, but I'm still trying to, just throw some different stuff in the store every once in a while. So if you guys are interested in these type of videos, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into it. Alright, y'all, so starting with the Poshmark sale is this pair of Nike Hyper Dunks. These are the 2015s. These were like a dope camo colorway, really nice shoe in my opinion. I had these listed for a very long time, well over 6 months. Picked these up from the thrift store for about maybe $5 or $6, because when I picked them up they wasn't that clean, so I tried to clean them up, make them look really nice. And if these were in better condition, I probably could have got maybe 70 to 80 bucks, just about double what I actually got. But I priced mine at 50 bucks, waited for a very long time, finally got a solid offer of $40, and I went ahead and accepted it. Now, if you guys didn't catch my last video where I kind of broke down some of the things that I'm not necessarily fond of with Poshmark, and long story short, I'm just trying to sell out my Poshmark Closet and just move away from that platform. But at the end of the day, if you sell clothes, especially women's clothing, Poshmark is pretty good. You still make some good money, but for me, I'm basically over it. Now, next up, something super random. This is actually a car part. Now, a few months ago, one of my boys, Kevin, he does really well in terms of like selling used car parts. And he came down to Phoenix for a weekend just to pick some of the yards that's out here. Basically kind of showed me the ropes, let me know what to look for. Now, the downside to just selling car parts and that type of stuff, you can come across some really high margin, really highly profitable items. Don't get me wrong, but for me, it's just a little too much manual labor. You got to really get down and kind of get dirty and do, just a lot of stuff that I'm not really into. So for me, this is definitely another category that I can see that has a lot of potential. But in my opinion, I don't think I'll really take full advantage of it. Only because, especially right now, it's way too hot for me to be outside trying to be, breaking off car parts and stuff like that. This is definitely something for you guys to, I guess you can consider if you're into that type of stuff. If you're into, working with your hands and just being a mechanic and stuff like that, this is definitely the area for you guys. But I just picked up something super simple that was very easy to pull off of the car. This was actually the door lid for a 2008 Infiniti Coupe, and I just pulled that off really easy. I think it was like 2 screws that I had to take off, and this sold for 40 bucks after 2 days after listing it. Now, I don't know if I sold it for too cheap. I probably did play myself, but I think I spent maybe $3 or $4 for it. The margins was crazy, so I listed it for 40 bucks because previously I saw that it sold for maybe $30. So I went ahead and I just did that, and like I said, I'm not going to be getting into too much car parts. It's definitely something I was thinking of and considering, but just being honest with myself, I'm just trying to be more self-aware, and me selling car parts, probably highly unlikely. Next up, we got a pair of shoes from the brand Fin Comfort, and these shoes were actually made in Germany. I've sold this brand maybe 3 or 4 times in the past. I used to find them in thrift stores out in Santa Barbara all the time. Very high quality pair of shoes. The comps on eBay are very misleading. Sometimes you go on there, see comps for like 18, 20 bucks. Anytime I find these shoes, I usually price them on the higher end, 50, 60, 70, 80 bucks, anywhere along those lines. And this pair sold for 60 bucks within 1 day of listing it. So once again, I probably could have made I probably could have priced these for 69 or even 79 bucks and waited a little longer, but this was just a really quick sale. I probably just found the right buyer at the perfect time. So definitely be on the lookout for this brand, because I usually only find it in the thrift, but anytime I find it, they usually do sell pretty quick. Next up, something that's pretty random is this vintage software that I picked up from the thrift store a very long time ago, probably a year ago that I found this. It was a bunch of older software for like IBM and Windows. A lot of them sold for anywhere between 20 and 30 bucks. I had some that sold for maybe 70 and 80, but this one in particular, I had this for 59 bucks. I wasn't accepting any offers or anything like that, and then this one finally did sell once I lowered the price point to $49.99. As soon as I lowered the price, it sold like 3 hours after that. So you definitely want to be on the lookout for some older software. I was even telling you guys, older games and like retro stuff is really trendy right now. People are searching for those type of stuff. So this particular person, they probably used this software to like rebuild a vintage, like a classic computer or something like that. So this one shipped out via media mail, so you definitely want to take full advantage of those type of options when you're dealing with, you know, anything media based, whether it's like movies and DVDs and stuff like that, and, you know, older software. I also just use that for media mail. So definitely take full advantage of that shipping feature. It's a little slower sometimes in first class, but it's definitely a cheaper option in terms of saving some money on shipping. Next up, we got a pair of Nike Air Zoom Pegasus. These are the 35s. I picked these up from Burlington for I think $39.99. and these sold within about 2 weeks for $100. So some really good profit on there. I put these in a padded flat rate envelope, so I was able to save some money on shipping. And like I said, these sold really quickly. Some people don't necessarily pay attention to like some of the Nike Pegasus models or any of the Nike runners, but running shoes is something that always sell really well for me. The margins are always pretty high because when it comes down to running shoes, people usually buy several pairs because they will wear them out pretty quickly. Within at least a few months, if they're like a real runner and they're outside getting that working, they usually buy new shoes maybe 3-4 months in, and they want high quality shoes. So definitely something to consider if you guys are into selling shoes. And you know, as always, I tell you guys, if you sell shoes for over $100 on eBay, athletic shoes in particular, you pay 0 fees. So that's why I always try to sell shoes. Next up, another pair of runners. These are actually a pair of Adidas Ultra Boost, but these are the uncaged. Also got these from the thrift store for about $8. They wasn't in the best condition, so I cleaned them up, threw them in the washing machine, and these cleaned up really nicely. The only downside to these is that any pair of Boost shoes, the midsole usually does turn to like, it tends to get a little yellow with age, and the soles on there definitely started to get a little yellow. But overall, the Boost was still in really good shape. The overall shoe was still really solid, no holes or tears or anything like that. And I was able to get $50 for these after spending about $8 in the thrift store. Once again, put it in a padded flat rate envelope, and I was all good with that. Next up, we got this vintage hockey jersey. This one is actually the Phoenix Coyotes, and I picked this one up in Arizona. Downside to this one, it did have a lot of stains on this, so I had it sitting around the house, but I didn't necessarily have it listed because I wanted to take the time to, you know, clean out those stains and take full advantage of the profit margins. And once I finally did clean it up and make it look really nice, I was able to list this for $80, and it sold within about 3 days after listing it. Now that's one big reason as to why I don't like selling clothing as much, because when I was living in Santa Barbara and I was thrifting just about all of my inventory, I was always doing laundry, always washing clothes, washing stuff out by hand just so it can be the most presentable look. But after a while, I'm just kind of tired of doing those type of things. But when I did see this jersey, I think I spent $3 on it, and they priced it lower because it did have stains. I said, let me just go ahead and just take full advantage of this, because I knew for a fact this particular jersey did have some good value. So this one probably could have sold for a little more money, but the fact that I know I got it for $3, I threw it up for $80, and it sold really quickly. Next up, we got this coat from the brand Montgomery, England, and this is a jacket that I picked up a few months ago from the thrift store. And when I picked this one up, I knew it wouldn't sell at least until maybe the beginning of fall, or maybe once we got deep into the winter. But I will tell you guys all the time, people are picking up jackets and stuff like that right now, especially if they can get it for a good deal. And I had it listed for $130. I was of course charging shipping because this coat was really big and bulky, and I got a solid offer of $104 plus shipping, and I just went ahead and accepted that offer. So like I said, if you guys can find some really good jackets right now, definitely make sure you can hold on to them. Probably list them if you want, like price it high, price it for what you're trying to get out of it, but just know you might have to be a little patient until they do sell. But if you can get it now, definitely go ahead and do that, because I'm still going to be going to more of these thrift stores trying to see if I can find some gems. I don't thrift as often as I used to. I used to thrift every single day, but you know, you can still come across some really solid gems in the thrift store as long as you're being consistent. So just definitely keep that in mind. Alright y'all, that's all I have for today's video. So if you guys enjoyed that one, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
For the winner, cause you felt like you was losing, only for the winner. Move just to keep from cooling, like only for the winner, only for the winner, only for the winner. Boy, my heart is cold, and I'm too cool to sweat it. I should've never offered it. I'm